I also please now call the University of Sydney and the Public Health Foundation of India to the front of the room to exchange your MOU, please. This MOU will extend an MOU signed late last year with a commitment to establish a bilateral fieldwork placement program for master's level students in disciplines of public health and global health. And our final acknowledgement for today is between the University of South Australia and Accenture. If you can please come to the front of the room. This is an arrangement to build on an existing innovation and academy partnership by exploring new opportunities to expand the courses on offer between these two institutions, between University of South Australia and Accenture. Congratulations to all the institutions for strengthening your partnerships today. We look forward to seeing very positive results from your collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Congratulations and a big thank you to all the signatories of the various agreements. And may this be just the beginning of the next phase of our really vigorous educational collaborations between the two countries. May I request all dignitaries to please join us for tea and coffee outside. And may I request the ministers please to address a joint press conference. We will soon be inviting the press people here. Okay.
So you invite the Virgin group after coming with this?
The intranet meeting, yes.
You can tell about your
Very good seat.
No, अभी पे नहीं
इसी होगी इसके बाद तो टी ब्रेक के बाद बोले हाँ बिल्कुल यही तो अलाउंस किया था यही अलाउंस किया था ये टी ब्रेक के बाद ही होगी पीसी सर अब जाएंगे नहीं जाएंगे ये नहीं पता
हेलो ना ना এটা এভরি সাইনিং হয়ে গেল পিসিটা পরে হবে আর ইউ করেন রাইট লগে মনি রাইট বাট লগে মনি ভাই লগে মনি सीटी में से बोला कि को যদি बात आगे भी जॉइन करो ना
दादा मैंने 2 लगा दी बस अब ये मेरा इतना ही है बस
कैमरा इधर लगा लो
कैमरा उस साइड लेगा तो फंस जाएगा गिर जाएगा ना गिर जाएगा लोग मार देंगे तुम्हारे कहने से थोड़ी रुकेंगे उस साइड लेके चले जाओ
हाँ भाई हाँ भाई मैंने जस्ट टी ब्रेक है टी ब्रेक रे सब 5 मिनट
बैठ जा बॉस
ठीक अच्छे मो कंटिन्यू रही ये काट में मत लाइव कंटिन्यू
मैं ऑडियो चेक
यार ये तो आगे बैठ जाएंगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा। ऊपर कर दो ना।
We have
अरे
some
कितना
very
भी
special guests with us today.
आगे कर लेते हैं
There are
वहाँ सारे
students from Australia who are currently studying in the Centurion
सारे प्रेसे
University
वाले बैठे आगे कर लेते हैं यार
in Odisha.
और क्या
They
कोई
have
नहीं
joined us here today for an interaction with some students of Delhi University. So we welcome them with a loud applause. We would invite them for a photograph with our esteemed ministers, please.
आकाश थोड़ा सा मेरे को दे दो आकाश थोड़ा सा नीचे रखो ना या फिर ये अरे यार सखी क्या दिक्कत क्या है यार हाँ
ज़्यादा बड़ा परेशान नहीं थे हम लोग देखते हैं पीछे खड़े
सही बात है
दो बार करो पीछे बैठ
नीचे बैठ के करो ना हम लोग खड़े हुए बार बार भगना मैं भी बस रहा है ना भाई
अरे बैठे हैं बात ज़्यादा लगा रहे हो
साइड दे दो फैन को
May I now request the Honorable Education Minister of Australia, Mr. Jason Clare, please give a press statement.
कंटिन्यू रखा हुआ है मेरे को फैन
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a very significant day. Can I start by recognising the extraordinary young women from Australia who are here joining us this afternoon? Mary, Veronica, Margaret and Geraldine. We are a long way away from Australia today. But your presence here reminds me how much smaller the world gets every day. And from Wadair in the Northern Territory, almost 9,000 kilometres away, to be here studying at the Great Centurion University and learning, I think for 6 months, is that right? In textiles, is just one example of what Minister Pradhan and I hope to see much, much, much more of in the years to come. Australians studying in India and more Indians studying in Australia. And this agreement that we signed today is all about that. Making it easier for more people to study in different countries and having qualifications recognised so that that happens. Minister Pradhan, my friend, thank you very, very much for first your kind invitation to visit India. When we met in August last year, we talked a lot about our two countries, and you invited me to come to India to sign this agreement today. This is a really important agreement. It sets the rules for mutual recognition of not just university qualifications but also vocational qualifications and school qualifications in both of our countries. And it's the broadest agreement that India has ever signed with another country. And as I said, we'll make it so much easier for students in both of our countries to study in either country, knowing that what they learn and the qualifications they receive will be recognised in our two countries. I said when Minister Pradhan and I visited a school in Delhi yesterday that in some respects India and Australia are very different countries. India is about to become the most populous nation in the world. More people than any other country in the world, including China. And that there are as many 9-year-olds in India today as there are people in Australia. Every month in India, 1 million people turn 18. And that means more people heading into the workforce, looking for jobs and businesses and opportunity. And that makes the Indian government's national education policy, developed by Prime Minister Modi and being implemented by my friend Dharmendra Pradhan, so important. It is breathtaking in its scale. It will transform India. The jobs and the businesses it will create, the economic productivity that it will drive. Dharmendra, you talk about our jobs being the mother portfolio. The education portfolio is the portfolio that creates all the opportunities in our countries. But the other metaphor that also rings true, as we said in our meeting today, is it is the engine room of our economy. Creating the skills for the jobs of the future that create the businesses of the future and that drive productivity and transform our countries. We all know individually that our lives were changed by our experience at school or at TAFE or at university, and the ambition that India has to have 50% of young people in their 20s or 30s be in vocational education or higher education by 2035 will set India up as an economic superpower of this century. And when Minister Pradhan was in Australia last year, you didn't just issue an invitation for me to come to India, but you issued a challenge to Australian universities to be part of this. And I think, Minister, you've seen that we have responded to that challenge. I lead a delegation of 10 university vice-chancellors, deputy vice-chancellors, provosts, the chief executives of many university peak groups, our university and higher education regulator. It shows that we listen very seriously to your challenge and are keen to meet it. There are universities, Australian universities, that already offer courses in Indian universities. There is the opportunity now, with the great reforms being undertaken by yourself, to set up campuses in places like Gift City and potentially other places as well, to develop dual degrees. And the work that RMIT and BITS are doing is a great example of that, where you can get a degree from 2 universities at the same time, do 2 years in India and 2 years in Australia. And there are universities who have never had a presence in India before that are setting up offices this week as well. All of the universities here are here to listen and to learn and to work together with Indian counterparts. The MOUs that were signed just a moment ago are proof of that. This is just one example, I think, of the depth and the seriousness of the relationship between our two countries. And you will see more evidence of that next week when Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, visits India and meets with Prime Minister Modi on the cricket field, but also in meetings like this with more significant announcements to come. Minister Pradhan, thank you again for the invitation to be here. Thank you for the work that we are doing together on behalf of our two great countries. And I very, very much look forward to visiting India again in the next few months with my colleague, Minister Brendan O'Connor, the Minister for Skills, to continue the work that we have started.
Thank you, my dear friend, Honourable Minister of Education from Australia, Excellency Jason Clare, and welcome the first one of the batch of study in India, young girls from the Australia, those who are come to our country to take some vocational training courses and some learning practices from good practices from India, and my dear friends from the media. As our friend set the tone of this press conference, India and Australia, both of them are enjoying a special strategic partnership relationship. When the new government in Australia came in the first part of the last year, when our leaders met at the Quad platform in the second half of the 2022, my Prime Minister sent me to Australia in a priority basis. I met my dear friend Jason Clare there. There was a arrangement for Australia-India Education Council. There's a joint working group kind of thing. I requested them to expand it up to skill and vocational area. Government of Australia, with the blessing of the leaders, rightly accommodate our request. Now the platform will be Australia-India Education and Skill Council. The formal meeting will be in the last part of the year. Again, I am inviting my colleague, Mr. Jason Clare, and the Honourable Minister of Skill Development of Australia. The size is different in between both of us, but there is a one similarity. There is a common aspiration. There is a common responsibility. There is a common sensitivity towards the humanity by both the countries. That is the primary bond between both of us. And as my friend said, and we both of us strongly believe, education, knowledge is the game changer. Education, knowledge is the engine of the growth. And I am obliged, I am happy to convey this thing. Rightly, Mr. Jason Clare, representing Australia, recognize the strategy of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in the area of knowledge, which has come out as a beautiful policy, NEP 2020. Lot of things are happening. You all have witnessed this thing, starting from this young student group from Australia to knowledge exchange between different institutions, different MOUs between both the countries, especially in the area of skill development, in the area of school framework, in the area of deep tech research. And today we have a concrete agreement on mutual recognition of degrees. That means a ITI student can now work in Australian mining sector with Indian certificate. Now, an Australian undergraduate can join a master's course in India with this recognition mechanism. This kind of free knowledge flow will be there henceforth. There's a lot of sizable Indian students are already studying in Australia. Now, in our mutual discussion, we agreed lot more Australian students will come to India for different courses, courses in advanced tech area, courses in Indian knowledge system, courses in lifestyle, which will lead to the sustainability SDG. By that way, we will achieve the SDG goals. We have some issues regarding student mobility. I am happy to inform all of you the pendency list of visas is gradually reducing in a very fast track. Few months ago, it was around 1 million. Now it is in a way 500,000. And my colleague assured me on a priority basis, they will clear this pendency. In the area of research, in area of institutional collaboration, in area of specific skill development, Australia is totally aligned with us. We have lot of discussion today. Since yesterday, I will be happy to inform all of you. When we request Honorable Minister Jason Clare, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has rebuilt the Kartavya Path. He asked me, what is this Kartavya Path? I said, India is completing 75th years of its independence. Now Prime Minister Modi gave a clarion call to the countrymen, let us work together with responsibility. Then he immediately agreed. We enjoyed the nightlife in the Kartavya Path. We saw the vibrancy of our citizens in the Kartavya Path. We went up to Rashtrapati Bhavan and we saw a historical monument in the courtyard of North and South Block. When this complex was built more than a century years ago, the then Commonwealth country Australia sent a goodwill pillar where Australia to India it has written, we never know. Our High Commissioner of Australia showed that pillar to all of us. We enjoyed that also. Friend, this is our depth of our relationship. In future, more students will come from both the sides. More institutional network will be there from both the sides. At college level, at school level, at vocational center level. And my friend assured us to make India a robust economy, to make it #1 economy, Australia will be a good and reliable partner to us, and education will be the biggest enabler of that thing. Thank you, friends.
Thank you to the ministers. We will now invite questions from the media. Please ask your questions one by one. Please introduce yourself and ask a question.
Hello, Mr. Clare. Sir, good morning. I am Nishant from Doordarshan, Public Broadcaster of India. So, sir, I want to know from you the outcome of Australia-India Student Research Fellowship. How successful this program has been so far?
It's been very successful. I should have said in my introductory comments. It's been very successful. I should have said in my introductory comments, we also have another major announcement to make today in the order of $1.8 million, investing in developing critical skills courses in India. This is a partnership between Australian universities, Adelaide University and Central Queensland University, and Indian institutions to share agricultural skills expertise in the Indian agricultural sector. And Australian universities will work with Indian institutions to develop courses for trainers and students to meet India's agricultural skills needs. And the contribution by the Australian government to that, as I said, is $1.8 million to develop this program with those 2 Australian universities. And it will enhance opportunities for Australian providers to partner with institutions and industry in the agricultural sector. It's just one more example of how we're building stronger bridges and partnerships between Australian institutions and Indian institutions, between Australian researchers and Indian researchers.
Sir, I am Arvind Pandey. Hello, sir. I am Arvind Pandey from Dainik Jagran newspaper, Hindi newspaper. I know to you, sir, study you visit to Kendriya Vidyalaya. Kendriya Vidyalaya. What your experience to Kendriya Vidyalaya?
Well, we could talk about this for many, many hours, but I'll try to be brief. So we visited Delhi University and we saw extraordinary energy. And then when we were in the car on the way to the school, we talked, didn't we? And Dharmendra, we said, we're going to see Energy Plus. There is nothing more exciting than visiting a school. Because when you visit a school, you see the future. You honestly do. I can see people smiling and they know it. Think back to when you were a little child. When you were maybe 5 or 6. Can you remember your teacher's name? They're very important in your life, aren't they? They help you open doors that have got us here today. Our education system is the most powerful cause for good in this world. It creates all the opportunities that got us here, and through the development of plans like the National Education Policy, it will provide that opportunity for many, many million more. And so when my little 6-year-old boy said to me when I became Education Minister, Dad, can you ring my teacher and tell her I'm not coming back? I told him there is nowhere you would rather be than in a school, because that's where the opportunity to achieve your dreams are. He said, Dad, but I want to be Spider-Man when I grow up. I said, it's schools that give you that superpower, the superpower to achieve your dreams. And so I was just as excited to visit a school in India as I am every day that I get to visit a school in Australia, because that's where the magic happens. That's where the future is created.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Nishant from ANI. Sir, according to some expert, they say both countries need some radical changes in education system to make easier for students, like use of technology or concept are quite different from quite different. What's your comment, sir?
So your question was, both countries need to make changes with our systems? Well, I think both of us are on the same path. I said in my introductory comments that our countries are different in some respects in terms of population and scale, but we both understand the importance of education, and we're both transforming and reforming and improving our school system and our vocational system, our higher education system as well. I'm inspired by the audacity, the size and the scale and the ambition of the National Education Plan. I say to the Vice-Chancellors who are with me, I say to school teachers, I say to my colleagues in Parliament that we need to think big and be bold in our reforms if we're going to have an education system to set us up for the next 10 and 20 and 30 years. And I see that boldness here in India. We cannot just accept that what we have at the moment is enough, because it's not. The world is changing fast. We need our education system to change as well. That's what's happening here in India, and that's what I'm hoping to achieve in Australia as well.
Hi, sir. Ifra this side from the New Indian Express. Just had a question. There were announcements yesterday regarding to universities coming up in Gujarat. So just wanted to know more about them. When do we see coming them alive? Like, when do we expect them to be, getting admission, starting the process and all?
So yesterday, it wasn't just the two of us, we also had Adam Gilchrist, who was with us, who some people will know is the former wicketkeeper and star batsman and former captain of the Australian cricket team. But Adam is also the global ambassador for the University of Wollongong. And the University of Wollongong have signed a letter of intent with the Indian government to work on the development of a campus in Gift City in Gujarat. They are very well progressed in the work that they are doing there, and are very hopeful that by the end of this year we'll be in a position to open that campus and start the first students studying there. So they will be the first, or one of the first Australian universities to take up this very precious opportunity and very kind invitation from the Indian government to be part of the mission to implement the national education policy. So that's the, I'm sorry.
And how huge will it be? Like, you know, what kind of courses will there be in the campus? Like, because
They will start small and grow over time. They're going to focus on finance courses and STEM courses, and hoping, as I said, to open that campus later this year. And stay tuned for more announcements by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese when he visits next week. I'm sorry, would you mind asking that? Well, a number have. A number are thinking about the opportunity in different ways. So some universities are thinking of opening their own campus. In Gift City, for example, where there's a special economic zone, potentially with the changes to regulations here in India, opening campuses in other places. Some universities are thinking about the potential to open a campus where there might be 2 or 3 or 4 Australian universities who do it combined. Some universities are thinking about how they might be able to open a campus within an existing Indian university. Twinning as well I mentioned RMIT, I think. Maybe I didn't mention it at this press conference, but if I haven't, let me mention it now. RMIT and BITS Pilani have signed an agreement to establish a joint higher education academy, starting with engineering, and hoping that the first students to begin that work at that academy will start later this year. So when I come back to India in a few months' time, I'm hoping not just to cut a ribbon opening the campus for the University of Wollongong, but to see the first students at this joint higher education academy of RMIT based in Melbourne and BITS Pilani, where they will start with engineering but could expand to other areas, and will potentially start with a couple of hundred students but build to more over time. So there are different models, different options, different opportunities. This is a partnership, and we will continue to work together to see what Australia can do to help. But also, this is not a one-way street. This is not just Australia coming to provide higher education services here. There is so much that Australia can learn from India, and we see that not just in teaching but in research. In the time that I've spent in Delhi over the last few days, and Vice-Chancellors have spent talking to Indian Vice-Chancellors, it's become very apparent that there is a very, very good opportunity for Australian universities working with Indian universities to collaborate and partner in doing much more research together, particularly here in India.
This is Gunjan from PTI. So following up on the same question, you mentioned about a timeline for the Wollongong University opening up its campus to be operational by end of this year. Do we have a similar timeline for the Deakin University campus also? In the Gift City, that campus.
You will have to wait and ask that question to the Prime Minister of Australia next week.
Another question. You mentioned about more universities which might be interested in exploring a campus here in India beyond the Gift City, considering UGC is in final stages of notifying its regulations for foreign universities to set up their campuses in India. Any names that potential names that you can give us at this stage that they are keen on exploring the campus in India?
No more names, but I do want us to think about this as Australian universities and Indian universities working together in a multitude of different ways. And I might ask my friend Minister Pradhan to add to this, because in our conversations yesterday you made the point that there will be some Australian universities that will set up standalone campuses. But that is not the only opportunity here. And the model I just described with RMIT and BITS Pilani, that double degree, where you get a degree from both universities at the same time, and where you spend 2 years in Australia and 2 years in India, that is a model which we would like to see replicated by more universities as well, and has the potential to educate as many people as a standalone Australian campus in India.
I'll answer in the Hindi. देखिए, हमारी ऑस्ट्रेलिया और इंडिया की जो एग्रीमेंट है ऑन एजुकेशन, ऑन द नॉलेज एंड द वोकेशनल स्किल्स, ये सिर्फ कैंपस खोलने तक सीमित नहीं है. जैसे अभी बिट्स पिलानी के बारे में आदरणीय मंत्री जी ने उल्लेख किया, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले क्वींसलैंड यूनिवर्सिटी और आईआईटी दिल्ली, इन दोनों के बीच में एक एमओयू का रिन्यू किया गया, जिसमें डीप टेक रिसर्च पीएचडी उसके ऊपर म्यूचुअली एग्रीमेंट हुआ. मैं कल भी कहा तो आज भी उसको रिपीट कर रहा हूं. भारत में अभी तक 25 से ज्यादा रेपुटेड यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड इंस्टीट्यूशंस, सेंट्रली फंडेड इंस्टीट्यूशंस, प्राइवेट सेक्टर से चलने वाले अच्छे संस्थान, डीम्ड टू बी यूनिवर्सिटी, स्टेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड सम रिसर्च बॉडीज, इनकी ऑलरेडी स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक टाई अप ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ है. दूसरा, जैसे अभी हमने आपके सामने रखा, कुछ बहनों को ऑस्ट्रेलिया से ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने भेजा है भारत में स्किल डेवलपमेंट और वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग में ट्रेंड होने के लिए. आने वाले दिनों में मल्टी लेयर, अभी भारत की ज्ञान परंपरा, इंडिया नॉलेज सिस्टम, भारत की एआई, मशीन लर्निंग, सेमीकंडक्टर, ये सारे इलाके में भारत में जो अनफोल्ड हो रहा है, उसमें ऑस्ट्रेलिया हमारी, जिसे मंत्री जी ने कहा डुअल डिग्री, ट्विनिंग ऑफ द डिग्री, एक होलिस्टिक पैकेज इमर्ज कर रहा है. ओपनिंग ऑफ कैंपस इज वन ऑफ द इंटर गेम प्लान, इंटर स्ट्रेटेजी. इसलिए आने वाले दिनों में ये तो शुरुआत है, कल मंत्री जी ने कहा भी है, दिस इज जस्ट बिगिनिंग, लट मोर थिंग आर अवेटिंग, एंड आप उसको समझिए. मैं ऑन दिस ओकेजन आई मस्ट पे आवर रिगार्ड्स एंड say a big thanks to them for providing a critical skills project in the area of agriculture. They will spend more than 1.82 million US$ by next 1.5 years, by mid of the 2024. They will specifically will develop new curriculum, new courses. मैं जैसे आपको उदाहरण दूं, भारत में एग्रीकल्चर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भारत सरकार बहुत महत्व देती है. नैनो यूरिया आ गया, ड्रोन आ गया एग्रीकल्चर में, ऐसे अनेक सारा चीज, शीतल भंडार की, रेफ्रिजरेशन की एक नया वैल्यू चेन इमर्ज कर रहा है. ये सारे इलाका में ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ मिलके हम काम करेंगे, भारत में ही काम करेंगे. मैं उस स्कॉलरशिप के लिए, उस बजटरी एलोकेशन ऑस्ट्रेलियन गवर्नमेंट के लिए मैं उनको भारत की ओर से आभार प्रकट करता हूं. देखिए, हमारी, मैं जब पिछले बार अगस्त में गया था, उस समय में भारत में पढ़ने वाले बच्चों की डिग्री ऑस्ट्रेलियन यूनिवर्सिटी में एक्सेप्ट हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में पढ़ने वाले बच्चों की डिग्री भारत की इकोसिस्टम पे एक्सेप्ट हो, सिर्फ हायर एजुकेशन में नहीं, वोकेशनल एंड स्किल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में भी। ऑस्ट्रेलिया की वोकेशनल एजुकेशन अपने आप एक ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स है। टीवेट उनकी एक बड़ा प्रेस्टिजियस इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म है। इसमें भारत की टेक्निकल इंस्टीट्यूशंस की यानी लोअर स्किल्स इंस्टीट्यूशंस की लाइक आईआईटी, पीएमकेके, अदर सच इंस्टीट्यूशंस डिग्री भी म्यूचुअली एग्रीड हो, ये चर्चा शुरू हुई है। आज जो हमारी एमओयू हुई है, इसमें हम लगभग सभी विषयों में म्यूचुअल रिकॉग्निशन के लिए एग्री कर गए। जैसे अभी आपके सामने एक एमओयू साइन हुआ, ऑस्ट्रेलियन यूनिवर्सिटी ग्रुप एंड इंडियन एसोसिएशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी, एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी, यह सब उसी दिशा में म्यूचुअल रिकॉग्निशन के लिए बहुत बड़ी कदम है।
So, thank you everyone. Thank you.